Hi everyone, welcome to Michelin King live on YouTube. So today, just a bit of a catch up and um, discussion. So first up, I have just updated the website with some waxes that have come back into stock. Some of them are really good for this time of year. So coming into autumn, and many of you will have noticed, certainly in the UK, obviously we ship worldwide, but in the UK, we're starting to see these temperatures dip. The sun is lower than what it was before. So the temperature, even though it's nice and sunny, and this kind of preempts the point that I'm just about to make. They always say make hay when the sun shines. So that would be my advice at the moment, is don't wait until maybe November or such to start your winter preparation. Um, I tend to start looking at these things really round about now. I start to think about how much protection I'll need, what type of wax or look I want for the car, and most importantly, what am I willing to do to look after the car in the colder periods. Now, bearing in mind, I might lay it a bit flat here. YouTube and Instagram and stuff, that's not real life. All of these videos, they're probably shot over various days or they're heated. There will be some people that will be working out in these cold temperatures, but a lot of the time it's indoors. You can take the time you need to take. What I'm getting at here is, if it's 5 degrees outside, and unless you are totally in love with the fact that you'll put up with that level of cold, you can still do the same detailing that you can do in the summer. My opinion is that's not practical. It's probably not possible as well, just due to the light that's available. So what I'm looking at this year, which is slightly different, slightly different to what I've done in previous years, just simply because we hadn't released these products. So this year, my aim is I'm going to decontaminate the car. So I'll remove iron fallout, tar, organic products. Unfortunately, I park underneath this tree for two reasons. It tests the wax that I've got, so tree sap's quite good at that. And also, we've just recently brought out a bug and tar remover, so I'm continually, just basically seeing how much I can push the product. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to decontaminate the car. I'll probably, if time is on my side, I'll probably give it a simple one-step polish. If it's not, I'll get to that next year. The most important thing is that the paint is clear and clean. You want the paint to be clean of any contaminants so that your sealant that you're applying to the paint applies correctly. It is important that the car is, as scratch and swirl free as it can be. But I had an interesting conversation with a customer recently who just had a two-step polish carried out on his vehicle. And one of the things we discussed is how long you think you would keep the vehicle for. So if you think you'll keep the vehicle for quite a considerable amount of years, maybe more than, say, 5, I always err on caution with how much or how many swirls I want to remove from the paint, just simply for the fact that I still want a nice amount of clear coat. Unfortunately, not all brands are created equal, so some cars will have more clear coat than others, and some cars will take longer because their clear coat is typically harder. I currently have a car where the clear coat isn't that hard, but I actually prefer that because it means I'm not spending so much time correcting. Because it really doesn't matter how much time you spend correcting the paint, as long as the end result is what you want it to be. So we're all very realistic about what can and can't be achieved, and sometimes about what's safe. You want you don't want to remove too much clear coat or paint. That's really the point that we're getting at here. So if I manage to get to that point, that's absolutely great. If I don't, as long as I have clean paint that will accept a sealant, I'm very happy with that. So my plan through winter this year, just because I want to try something new, is I will be practicing a mainly touchless wash system. So we'll be using a product that we sell called HD Snow. This is heavy duty snow foam. It's more alkaline based, so it will remove dirt and whatnot from the surface more than a pH neutral. It's actually designed to clean the surface, but in turn with that, it obviously does deteriorate any wax and sealants, as do any of these products that actually clean. More than not. After that, I will still be using snow foam for two reasons. It neutralizes any leftover HD snow. It neutralizes any soil or whatnot left on the used on the roads. So it's pH neutral. So what it will do is it will neutralize anything that is damaging, either too alkaline or too acidic, that's left on the paint for whatever reason. There is another step here, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do this yet. I'll either use a bucket, a few mitts, and put the spa through the foam container. So basically, I'll use spa, but I'll use it through the lance rather than and solely through the bucket. And this is just to increase the amount of lubricity through the wash. It just basically what I'm trying to do is give the car as safe a wash as possible. There are two reasons I'm going down this route this year round, and that's due to the miles that I do have increased quite dramatically. So in the new factory, it's a much further distance to where our old factory used to be. I'm on the motorway or the highway much more frequently now. I'm on back roads much more frequently. So there's a real mixture of driving, and I just want to make sure that I'm not damaging the paint much more. There are more things to consider now than there would have been last year, for instance. The other thing that I'm going to make sure is that I have a high quality, durable car wax on the paint as well. So I'll probably use Guard. I'll probably use Guard on the paint. It's a really high gloss sealant that we offer. And then I'll team it with, I'll maybe use Fortitude or maybe Armour. As you could use these as base coats and then use something that is a wee bit more concourse style or whatever you want. But I'll use the Fortitude or the Armour as a base coat. Obviously, we do have other waxes such as Heather, and that's just arrived back in stock as well. RPM is quite a durable wax, so that would be absolutely fine for this time of year. And as I said, we do have a few other options. Prototype 1, for instance. Prototype 1 is a 50% T1. So bearing in mind, Carnauba wax is penetrable via alkaline products and road salt and things. That's why we don't recommend using that on your boat. So I do have other products. If your boat is stored in salt water, rather, if it's fresh water, it's fine. But salt water, if it's stored in salt water, I do have other options to protect the surface. So other waxes that we've brought back into stock, we've got Anvil, which is great if you've got metallic paint. It's specifically for metallic paint simply because it's a very clear blend. There's great clarity with it. We've got Le Mans, which is a natural Carnauba wax. It's a bit of a blend of a few different things. It does a lot of things really well, but really it's geared more towards the show car end of things. Lavender really needs no introduction. It's really, really popular. It's a great wet look wax. It's part of our core range, so it still is a great price for the wax that you're getting. it blows nearly everything out of the, well, it blows everything out of the water that's price-wise with it, and even those above. It's a fantastic wax. It's a natural car wax as well. So you're really heading towards the higher end with that. You'll be really happy with it. It's got great reviews. It's got a solid following. Yeah, very, very popular. Next one is Heather. So Heather is geared up as a heavy-duty, durable car wax. You can use it all year round. I tend to use it as a base wax because, again, as I said, the mileage on my own vehicles has went up quite considerably. So it gives a really good protection. It's only it's got a nice fragrance, heather fragrance to it, and there's a heather colouring to it as well. So it's an all-round, really nice wax, easy on and off. It's durable. If you're looking for a wax that you just want to apply, and forget about, I've been making wax this morning, so maybe breathe something in earlier. If you're looking for something that you just want to apply and 4 or 6 months down the road, reapply it, you don't want to wax your car every month, that type of thing, I'd go for Heather. Heather will stand you in good stead. It's a great wax. It's an honest wax. There's no hiding with it. Just does what it's supposed to do really, really well. That really falls onto RPM. RPM's it's a best-selling wax in the whole range. It's just a really good wax. It's a very simple wax in terms of it's very easy to use. It gives a really nice glossy finish. Look at the listing for RPM because we've got some really good photographs on there, some really good pictures of the wax in action, and it's definitely one worth checking out. And it's only 50 ml is only $14.99, and at the moment, if you are in the States, obviously, you're pretty much getting about 20% off just now because our pound is absolutely woeful. So members of government, please do something about this. So yeah, we're about a 1-to-1 at the moment, and who knows where that's going to go. But anyway, let's leave the politics to the politicians, even if they're not very good at it. So that's basically the route I'm going down. I'm going down a touchless route. So I'll be using HD snow, normal snow. I'll be using some rins in there as well, just to add some protection, and obviously our trusty spa. And I'm just going to figure out how many buckets I'm going to use, or even if I will actually try and go bucketless just to see what the results are. But I would always recommend in winter to try and use at least one bucket. The most important thing is wash mitts. So I tend to use about 4 wash mitts. Might sound a bit overkill, but what I do is our weather here is not too dissimilar to maybe the very north of America or somewhere like Michigan and things like that, where you do experience Canada, where you do get quite extreme weather. So it's not unusual for us to get very low temperatures, snowfall and ice and things like that. So I'm just, with the amount of stuff that will be on the car, it's probably advisable for me to at least use one bucket to make sure that the wash mitts are always clean. Because this is really where you will pick up the majority, unless you're taking your truck or whatever out to the mud plains at the weekend. This is probably where you'll get the most amount of damage to the paint. It's during the winter months. And it really depends what your local government or council, unfortunately, if they do grit or salt the roads. If you live in a warm climate, then you don't need to worry about this. But the likes of grit and salt, they can actually attach and stick to the paint just because the salt, once it becomes wet, is quite good at making things cling to your paint. So it'll pick up anything, even grit and stuff like that as well. So I would always, this goes back to the age-old thing, do you pressure wash your paint down before you snow foam it? Definitely. I would always do that, because what you're asking the pre-wash to do is you're asking it to work super, super hard. let's take this for instance. If I was to, I've not got, looking for a hard surface. Say for instance, I was to write on this printer here. Now there are two options. You could just spray your detergent right onto the top of that and start scrubbing it off. But you'll probably need more attempts because the detergent will become blue from the ink straight away, and you'll be rubbing that ink not just on the localized area. Whereas if you were to take a damp cloth and rub it first, you'll take the ink that hasn't quite dried and the stuff that will just wash off with water, you'll take that off first. So your detergent can focus on the more difficult job of getting the dried ink off. Now, quite a lot of people have asked me, from enthusiasts due to YouTubers that really believe, or pros that really believe that you put your foam on and you don't rinse first. That to me is asking for trouble, because there's a lot of contaminants on your paint that will rinse off just under normal pressurized water, not even with a jet wash, just with a hose, and you maybe squeeze it together to get higher pressure. You'd be quite surprised at the amount of stuff that just falls off. So things like loose grit, dried on grit, that type of stuff. I understand the argument can be, yeah, but if I put the pre-wash on, it will come off anyway. Yes, but you might need to pre-wash again, because depending on how thick that layer of grime and dirt is, most of our cars and most of our customers' cars, these are daily drivers. So these are not cars that, be careful what I say, because we do love a perfect car as well. These are cars that are used every day. Let's just leave it at that. And they're used in all conditions. Now, it wouldn't be unusual that if you spray your pre-wash on, that you can actually see a few millimeters thick of just crusty dirt on the car. There's no one that's thinking with lateral thought process that thinks it's a good idea not to pre-wash your paint, not to pressure wash your paint down first, to get rid of that stuff and actually let the pre-wash do its job, which is to get in behind the dirt that hasn't seen the light of day for a week. That to me, also another point that I'm quite passionate about is, and it will keep your car looking as good as possible. Our thing is really wax. We make wax every day. That's really our expertise, where our expertise lie. However, over the time you do pick up a lot of tips, you pick up a lot of things, and you hear a lot of things as well. Always rinse your car and always wash your car from the top to the bottom, simply because the bottom gets dirtiest the quickest. However, there is another side to this. You'll also notice in winter that the rear of your car can get equally as dirty. So just the good thing is all of our customers have a high level of common sense. So walk round the car first before you start. Take a note, if you feel you want to take some notes of areas where you've got more dirt. If you drive a diesel car, you'll probably find that, especially depending on the age, you'll get more fallout and such like on the rear than you would if it's a petrol car. But more often than not, if you're driving, what happens is that all the wet roads and stuff like that blow underneath the car because it's aerodynamic and that's what you want it to do. And then it comes up the way. So it doesn't just shoot right out the back of the car. And if you watch a wind tunnel, there's actually a kick up. This is why your bumper normally has a shape or a curve to it. And some cars actually have panels underneath to improve the airflow and such like. So anyway, so it kicks back up, and it can kick right up, depending on what speed you're doing as well. Obviously, that's a factor. Anyway, so this is where it comes into play. You don't want to start at the bottom because you're bringing that dirt up. Now, I understand that some people will state the fact that, yeah, but if I pressure wash from the bottom up, But think about that. You're driving all of that dirt and grit to parts of the car that possibly aren't even that dirty. You know, your A-pillars normally get it. Your windscreen, just below the windscreen. Strangely enough, your driver and passenger window can sometimes escape this, depending on how far the A-pillar projects from the glass, and if you've got rimless glass as well. So there are areas, normally from the wheel back, you'll get a curve as well, so that'll be quite heavy. And the last thing you want to do is pressure wash that up the way, especially because you're driving that grit. Even if you can't see it with your own eyes, over time, you will start to get lines, because there will be a point that whatever PSI your pressure washer works at, there will be a point that will catch grit that won't just spin up quickly, it will actually drive up into the paint. Now, there are two trains of thought here. What would we prefer? Would we prefer a shorter scratch, or would we prefer a scratch that goes from your bump strip possibly all the way up to your window? So that's the two reasons, to always pressure wash and clean from the top down, and stop at the bump strip or where you start to see the dirt getting at its worst, and then go and clean the other cleaner side of the car. So always start with the clean areas of the car, wherever that might be, if it's the roof, the side, parts of the bonnet, and then you'll probably find that you want to reserve wash mitts for the bottom of the car. We've got an interesting question there from Mr. Lion. What is my favourite wax? It's difficult, you know. We've been going for quite a long time now, and I've probably single-handedly myself handled well in excess of 1,000 different waxes, some of which have never been released just because they're too close to ones that we already have. And this is why if you buy one wax, it'll be different to the other, because I purposely make sure that the waxes are all different, the ingredients are different, just because so many of our customers actually own more than one wax. So lavender is probably one that I really like. A new wax that I'm really enjoying is Monarch, funnily enough. There are just waxes that crop up from time to time that blow you away. You know, you think, wow, this is not what I expected it to look like, even after, you know, making waxes for so long. I don't test against other brands simply because the blends that we make are so unique and so different that it would be quite unfair to do that. Because for the most part, easy for me to say, ours will always look far superior because of the ingredients that we use. Again, I had an interesting conversation with a customer recently who was moving over from another brand, and he had purchased lavender and had another wax that was considerably more expensive, and he had found that the lavender wax, in his opinion, was exactly what he's wanting. And that's kind of what it boils down to. Interestingly enough, I mean, here's one, to be really honest with you. I've got a customer who has RPM and they have lavender, and they prefer RPM, but not because of the looks. They feel that RPM is more similar to what they're used to using, and that's just simply because RPM is a petrochemical wax, and the majority of products are not ours, but are petrochemical waxes. Petrochemical waxes typically cure much faster than a natural wax. Petrochemical waxes typically are quite 1, 2, 3 dimensional, There's not much you can do with them because the content of the solvent is so high, so it doesn't leave a lot of space for other stuff to go in. And that's where lavender really trumps most products, simply just because I'm picking lavender. I mean, we could look at Caledonia, we could look at even heather, Monarch, for instance. Monarch's one that, Mr. Lyon, if you have 80 waxes, Monarch is one, bearing in mind its price point, I would urge you even to get a 50ml and try it, because I think that you would be quite surprised at how good it is considering its price point. We've done things, obviously, the ingredients that I've used have allowed me to offer it at that price for a reason. But I was quite blown away at what we were able to achieve. It's just one of these things. So I could probably, what I tend to do with customers when they say, what's your favourite wax? I tend to split it into the various sections. So I would start off with waxes maybe under £50. So under £50, I would be looking at possibly crema. I quite like crema. I just like that warm Carnauba glow, and crema does that really, really well. And you're starting to step up the range as well, but it's still, it's still an average price for a 200ml. I would then go for maybe waxes under £100, and at the moment, I would have said Azure before. I really like Azure. I think it does a lot of things really well, and I don't think there's anything that can challenge it at that price point. But Monarch for me has really set the bar at that below £100, and it has unfortunately just come in at just below £100. But it's really, really worth it. It's a really good wax. After this, I tend to jump up to below £200, and that brings in a lot of good waxes. You're bringing in waxes like Octane, Pioneer. Pioneer's a really wet look. It's possibly a bit wetter than lavender. So on the seal, yeah, I think I did. On that, we've got an alert set up with DW, that when there's a post that mentions us, it sends an email. I think I did. There's a couple of customers on Detailing World at the moment. It's a great website, just to give them a shout out. Obviously, it's changed hands and whatnot recently, but there are a huge amount of resources and information there. Even if you're new or old to detailing, you can just spend hours and hours trawling through the various topics and things, and you've got which sealant is best and what do you use, and everybody's very, very helpful, and it's a great community. So I would definitely recommend that, Detailing World. Seal does offer quite a big difference over just obviously paint that's just been washed, and it's just because of the ingredients of the product. A lot of it gets left on the paint, liquids, and price point again. Seal's just really, really good for what its price point. I think caught me on the hoof here, as they say, so I'll just bring up, because we've got a few different sizes of seal, and that's a good product actually for this time of year as well. Yeah, so I mean, $11.99 for 500ml. Yeah, good price. It's because of what you get. Bearing in mind, the products that we offer, they're very high concentration, so you're getting really good value for money. If you want to step up to a litre bottle, it's only $17.99. Litre would probably come in more handy around about winter and autumn time, because if you want to use something like that more often. So it's and as Mr. Lyon here is saying, we'd updated the Detailing World just with some of the waxes that we've put on the website today. So as I was saying, it's important to look at the practicalities of what you want from a car wax. it would be great if everyone wanted to buy Lily, but from a moral standpoint, for me, my only job is to get you a wax and products that you want and you want to use on your car often. There are no salespeople here. It's just a case of if Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith phones and says, "Listen, John, I've got this new car. I want to protect it." And the thing I listen to the most is how much time they want to spend on the car. And I don't try and talk people into spending less time, and I don't try to talk people into spending more time. If you say to me, "I've got 2 kids and I want to spend an hour maximum," hi Yoshio, how are you doing? I want to spend an hour maximum on the car. HD snow, spa, and a spray sealant, and that's you. If you've got a pressure washer in the house, then use that. If you've not got access to hose pipe, we look at something else like Ocean. So let's get into the luxury waxes, because this is this is really where things can become very passionate about what the best wax is and such like. So our luxury waxes, any of the waxes above £300, they are all 100% natural waxes. There is nothing like them available. They are completely unique, every single one of them. For instance, Lily has something crazy like 24 ingredients in there, whereas you're looking at the core waxes and it's single digits. So there's quite a big disparity between them. And you've just mentioned probably 2 of my favourite waxes, Serpine and Cardinal. No, the live wasn't. It was just ad hoc. We just made some waxes, so we just quickly decided, half an hour in, quickly decided to do a YouTube. So Serpine and Cardinal, unbelievable. We have so many stories from pro detailers that use these products. Rory, for instance, has a great story behind it. We have a detailer who has nearly every high-end wax you can imagine. First time we had met, going back years and years ago now, and I brought him Ranach to try, and I said, "Look, give Ranach a go, see what you think." Phones me the next day, "John, this wax is better for him." Now remember, for him, because somebody might buy Ranach and think, "I prefer Rory." So for him, Ranach for him looked better on the paint, and he did side-by-side trials because he thought, maybe I've got loads, maybe this is my new obsession and I'm just not giving, the other waxes a fair shot. So he did side-by-side comparison on the same car, same paint, same process, same pre-wash, pre-wax cleaner, everything like that. And he said there's a noticeable difference between the Ranach, which is $329, and I won't give the price away of the other wax because then we'll know what it is, of this other wax, which at the time, of this other wax. So it's there you have it. The luxury waxes are extremely good. And if you go up to the likes of Serpine and Cardinal, you're experiencing a level of finish which is just incredible. I know that I was singing praises about Monarch, but if I was to bring out Serpine or Cardinal or Lily, you're going from Monarch's like a Porsche 911, for instance. It's a great car, and you can probably drive it every day. It's expensive to upkeep, but it's not the most expensive. It's it's something that people can, if they want to aim to that and can afford, if they want to do that, if that's your aim or whatever, not to get philosophical, but if that's what you want, we're all car guys and women. But you look at Serpine and Cardinal, and you're getting to not even Bentley, you're getting to Rolls Royce, and you're getting to the point that you've got Rolls Royce's director's number and you can phone and say, listen, I don't like the silver metallic that you're doing. I want gold in that. I don't want leather from X, Y, and Z. I want the leather from Bridge of Weir. That's one of the areas in the UK that are well known for very high quality leather. You're getting to a level that nothing else comes close to. You're sitting and really getting the very upper echelon of any type of car wax that's available. Whether you're buying Serpine, Cardinal, Lily, Montgomery, Rory, every single one of them is like products that will roll off the forecourt at Rolls Royce. You're dealing with a very high end. The likes of Rannoch, Emperor, or Armour are more akin to your Bentley, so still, handmade, still very, very good quality. But there's just that step up when you're going up to, and I'm sure, hopefully, people will back me up on, when they're dealing with the very high-end luxury waxes. They are very different to use just simply because there aren't any other waxes that are comparable to them. So I will end it on that because, we sell them in 30 mils as well. And sometimes what I'll say to customers, if they're thinking about buying a 200 mil Pioneer, I'll say, if you're just doing your own car, buy a 30 mil luxury wax and enjoy it. Sometimes we can be too reserved in what we buy because we worry about, what will somebody think if I say, I've spent that. It's your own thing. Unfortunately in the UK, it's okay to go to a pub and spend, a couple of £100 over a weekend, but maybe people frown their eyes if you spend that on a car wax. And what's going to be better for you in the long term? I don't know. So anyway, ceramic coatings, they've definitely got their place in the market. There's certainly a strong market out there for. We tend to find it's more through our pro detailers. We don't have a lot of enthusiasts that buy ceramics from us personally. They tend to get them applied through professionals. It's definitely a different clientele. Even our pro detailers tell us this as well. It's a different clientele. You do still have some real gearheads, some people that are still really into their cars, that will ceramic coat their paint, but it's typically, for instance, the majority of our ceramic coatings sales in the UK are in the City of London, the suburbs, and maybe the likes of the overspill cities, round about there, like Birmingham and such like as well. So that, and you can also, there are really good points to ceramic coatings, such as if you've got multiple cars, you might not have the time to do, all of them and keep on top of all of them. The ceramic coating helps to protect the clear coat. There's a lot less work after the coating. It's a much more difficult thing to apply than wax. There's no getting away from that. That will never change. It's just the nature of the beast. Obviously, you've got watered down versions now, like the silicon dioxide sprays and stuff like that, and they're fine. We sell Wax Plus. It gives you 6 months protection from one application. That's really all you need. You don't need a coating that will last 3 or 4 years, because you want to make sure that you're decontaminating the paint as well. You're taking the tar deposits off, because the tar will stain the ceramic coating. It will turn it brown over time. Obviously, there's UV. You've got UV protectors and stuff in there, but I think our background is more traditional, where you look at the car every change of season. So you probably address the car every 4 times a year. And lots of our customers, like yourself, Mr. Lyon, have quite a vast wax collection. So if they put a ceramic coating on the car, it won't actually give you, it interferes with how the wax looks. Don't get me wrong, it definitely has its place. We have customers that only buy ceramic coatings, pros mainly, that buy ceramic coatings from us, and the liquids, and they don't have much call for waxes. It just depends what your market is. We're very fortunate in the sense that we have, a lot of our customers are very much wax oriented. But I can't disagree with you. They are, by the nature of it, they are man-made chemicals, so they don't have the same soul or passion that, our waxes, for instance. You couldn't compare the two on that. I sit there thinking up recipes, making recipes. I'm very much involved in that process. I really do get my hands dirty. It's not the same with ceramic coatings. You're making them in such huge quantities. It's just a numbers thing, really. And that's why they are marketed in that light as 9H and things like that. They're not really marketed as this will give you a gloss finish or a metallic and blah blah blah. That's just not their way of doing things, I suppose. But yeah, definitely got a place. But for instance, I've applied the Atomic to my wife's car, just because it's not in the videos as much, and it will keep the car very clean. And Atomic is a very high gloss. So it was very unusual when I had the meeting originally, because I'd asked, I want a high gloss coating. So I was very, very persistent on having a certain look, which was quite a different, typically they had said, people would come to me asking about a hardness or a longevity, but you're actually asking for a certain look. And I said, well, that's just how we conduct our business. So it's, as I said, crema under the £50. It's difficult to come close. You've got waxes in there that just won't be in the other products, simply because knowledge. It can be knowledge. I could give it away that it could be knowledge, just not knowing about that side of things. But crema is a great wax. So I've kept you long enough, nearly 45 minutes. You've all done very well. But I can see a few yawning faces up at the back there, so I'll let you crack on with your day. But have a look at the website. As I said, you've got Anvil, Le Mans, Trossachs, Lavender, Heather, and RPM newly added onto the website. But please try Monarch. Monarch's a great wax. We are selling, there are only 18. The reason that I'm asking you to try it is once it sells out, it's a commemorative item that we've made, and once it sells out, I won't be able to re-release it because it is solely limited to 18. And I know that next month I'll get the phone calls to say, oh John, would you please? And my hands are really tied on that. We're very strict on the limited editions, and it is the limited editions on the other products are normally a yearly basis. This is just a one-off because obviously we won't have another King Charles III. It'll probably be King William next. So I probably won't be around for the next King Charles anyway. But thank you very much for those questions. It's really interesting, guys. Please don't be hesitant in asking me things. I'm more than happy to discuss with you, and I really like to get into the nitty-gritty of things, and also just to make sure that the last thing I really don't like to hear is my customers being led down the garden path about certain things. So please, if anything just doesn't sit with you right, even if it's on our website, for instance, if you think, how is that possible? Just ask me. And if I don't know, I'll Google it quickly on the other screen for you. No, but in all seriousness, Yeah, if you've got any questions, please ask me, because it's always interesting, and sometimes it actually leads me to look at a product differently, or actually bring out a new product. So there's always a bonus from these things. So I do appreciate all of the questions today. They were really good. So thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Make sure if it's sunny, get yourself out and get some vitamin D, and enjoy your car. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.